Hello everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, back with just a quick update video about what's coming tomorrow. So for those of you who for maybe some reason have been under a rock or just haven't watched any YouTuber that does Total War at all over the last week they announced that tomorrow, October 4th, we would be getting a announcement trailer, so probably like the big awesome trailer for the next DLC. Today, the day before, they have done what they usually do, where they release kind of a little story or letter or something along those lines. So for this one, we have a letter, and it says, "Admiral, I have found what you seek. The item is in the possession of a dealer of antiquities who plies his trade on the wharf of the rusting harbor. Do not be fooled by his seeming decrepitude or that of his shop. While the rest of his wares may pale in comparison, he is well aware of the value of what he holds. You should make haste, however. Your rivals have also learned of its location and will soon be at hand. With shattered minds that thirst for our destruction and the siren of the storms herself on the move, I suggest you set sail soon. Yours, Gerbrald Klemme." So, so we know for a fact now that we're getting pirates of some sort. Between all the treasure and the ship motifs and sailing and the siren of the storms and setting sail, like this is definitely an ocean DLC. I have seen a decent amount of people who seem to be hoping for naval warfare, and let me just stomp that down as hard as I can. Have reasonable expectations. It's a campaign pack. It's not a complete upgrade to the entirety of the game. Do not expect naval combat because you're not going to get it. There is no way in hell they are putting in naval combat as a random DLC during Warhammer 2. It's not going to happen. What is much more likely is we're getting a new race or a series of races. I can tell you, looking at this, I feel very confident that we're looking at 4 legendary lords. As for exactly who they are, the Rusting Harbor is in Sartosa. The Lord of Shattered Minds, with a thirst for destruction, is without a doubt Luther Harkin. Which, for those unaware, Luther Harkin is the Lord of the Vampire Coast. He's the pirate king of Lustria, and he has like multiple personality disorder because his mind was shattered when he tried to basically overpower some defenses of the old ones in the Slawn through brute force of magic, and it backfired and like split his mind asunder. And he's pretty insane, but it looks like we're definitely 100% getting the Vampire Coast. Sartosa looks like they're also in, because it seems like everyone in this DLC is going to be going to Sartosa, probably to start it off for whatever this item that they're speaking about is. There's not enough detail here for me to tell what the item is, but if it's anything like the Tomb Kings campaign, it might have something to like be the crux of because like the Tomb Kings aren't a part of the Vortex race. They have their own race that's completely separate. And when I say race, I mean like a challenge between the 4 of them. Like the 4 of them are all trying to accomplish the same goal in gathering 5 of the 9 books of Nagash. It seems that whatever is in Sartosa might be whatever these lords are going to be fighting over or looking for. So we'll just have to see what that is, which I imagine they'll reveal tomorrow. Maybe. The only other thing that sticks out to me is this Siren of the Storms. So, digging through all of the lore that I have, all of the info I have, I cannot locate anyone who fits that description or title. The only thing I can think of is that in the Vampire Coast roster, there is which was printed in a White Dwarf magazine a long time ago. There was a Siren, which was like a hero unit, and it was basically their version of the Banshee. So it acted differently than the Banshee, but it was very similar. But there's not there's not like a special character Siren. And the way they spell it is different too. The Vampire Coast siren is Syreens, not Siren or Siren. So I'm not sure who the Sirens of the Storm is. It says Sirens of the Storms herself, so it's definitely a female character, which further convolutes it because they're the only notable female ocean-based character I know of is RNS Assault Spite, who is not a siren by any means of the imagination. That being said, looking at this letter and some of the other whispers and evidence we've had coming out of this DLC, something I've seen a lot of people talking about on the subreddit that has definitely won me over is people have been talking about seeing an expansion of the Vampire Coast and maybe Sartosa by using the Dreadfleet expansion. So for those unaware, Dreadfleet was a standalone game that you can look up on Google. It was actually super fun to play, by the way. But Dreadfleet was a standalone game where you fought. It was like the naval warfare expansion for Warhammer Fantasy 8th Edition. Unfortunately, it didn't sell very well because it was really expensive. But basically, there was, I think, 10 ships. 5 on the good guy's side and 5 on the bad guy's side. And the bad guys were led by Count Noctilus. And then he had under him... there was a ghost ship whose captain I don't remember because he wasn't not important in the story. I very recently read through the Dreadfleet book. I purchased it and read through it because the subreddit was talking enough about it caught my interest. But in any event, so there was a ghost ship, then there was an undead Skaven ship that was inside of a giant sea monster that had a bunch of crazy warp lightning cannons. Then there was a Tomb King ship of a Tomb King who sided with Noctilus, and his final ally was a Chaos Dwarf who manned this giant mechanical demon Kraken. Then on the good guy side, they were led by Captain Jaeger Roth, who very well could be a legendary lord. Captain Roth was one of the great pirate lords from Sartosa. He had family in Sartosa, and the Rusting Harbor is a place that, if memory serves correctly, is mentioned in his book, in the Dreadfleet book, where he is the main character. So we might be seeing Captain Roth for Sartosa. Also from Sartosa, though, is RNS Assault Spite, who is a very popular character. She kind of managed to remain rather famous outside of Dreadfleet, like Count Noctilus did, because she is very iconic looking. Her whole thing is that she played off the idea that she's a mutant that was born with like a mermaid tail, sort of. So she cut off her mutated legs and inserted like these giant fish saw blades, like a kind of like how in our world you have swordfish, they have that sword for a nose. Imagine if it was like a chainsaw blade instead. Obviously without the actual chain part, it just was like that kind of shape, like a sawtooth blade. And she apparently like cut the blades off the heads of those fish and uses them as peg legs. And she was a really awesome character in the book. And it was revealed at the end of Dreadfleet that she was actually Manon's daughter, which Manon is the god of the sea. The only other stuff, so what I'm thinking right now is that what we could be seeing is maybe like a 2v2 DLC, maybe like the Sartosans versus the Vampire Coast, and you could have like Captain Jaeger Roth and the Pirate Queen RNS Assault Spite versus Count Noctilus and Luther Harkin, maybe? That would work. But that doesn't account for the Siren of the Seas, or Siren of the Storms. Which, because it's the Siren of the Storms and not the Siren of the Sea, I'm guessing she has a relation to the storm god Stromfels. But Stromfels is not the most fleshed out god in the Warhammer world. Like he's basically kind of an acknowledged god of destruction who summons storms at seas and is generally kind of a jerk. And there was a rather large Gotrek and Felix novel or audio drama that had to do with his an avatar, which I believe it was called Gotrek and Felix, Son of the Storm or God of Storms or something like that. But I haven't listened to that audio drama, so I don't know how far that story goes in depth, and maybe that is one of the characters, is the villain from that book. But in any event, I feel very confident saying that we're looking at least half of the DLC being Vampire Coast. There's a possibility they might go whole hog with the Vampire Coast and just use some of the Dreadfleet captains, because if you use the Dreadfleet captains in conjunction with Luther Harkin, you could easily get 4 legendary lords. But we'll have to see. Might be that we're getting kind of a weird mix of characters, because there's a lot of different pirate races. Like, there are Dark Elf pirates, there are Orc pirates, or Greenskin pirates, there are dwarves on the high seas. Obviously, the High Elves have a really famous fleet under Sea Lord Island. So I don't know. In any event, the most important part of this video is just saying that tomorrow I'm going to be keeping my ear to the ground about when the trailer's going to drop. And when it does, I'm going to be doing a live stream. So I am going to, the moment it comes out, I'm going to turn on a live stream. I'm going to give an announcement on my Discord channel, which I'll have a link to in the description down below, or in the top comment. And if you're in my Discord, just keep your eye out for, there will be an @everyone tag in the general chat or the Total War chat, one of the two. And I will basically say, all right, here's the link to the live reaction. I'm going to give everyone like 30 seconds to a minute, and then we're going to open it and watch it together. And I'm going to be able to give my thoughts live, and y'all can get to see my live reaction, which I think a lot of people will enjoy. I apologize, my phone's going off so crazy. I'm recording this very quickly before I go do some stuff. So, thank you all for watching. I will see you tomorrow morning for what I presume to be... I know it's pirates, I'm just not sure what the ratio is of Vampire Coast to Sartosan. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now. I don't think it's going to be like one lord from 4 different races. I think it's going to be like a 2 and 2 maybe. Or it might be 4 undead, but we'll have to see. In any event, very, very excited. The Vampire Coast roster from Tabletop was a very fun, crazy roster. And if they do that roster, they'd have to expand it quite a bit because it's not very big. But if they did that roster, I would be very excited because it's a pretty hysterical roster. So in any event, I will see you guys tomorrow, and take care. Thanks for watching. Bye. Test. Okay.